Hi everyone, this is the last post from the CrossGov project. The project has officially ended now, but we still hope that the results and the outputs and all the tools that we have produced will live on for a very long time, even after the project. The project is based on the idea that policy coherence is needed to ensure effective governance and the protection of the oceans. So we really explored the questions of how we can actually assess policy coherence. Are the EU policies actually coherent? And what kind of problems do we face on the ground in the case study areas? And how can we improve policy coherence, both at the EU level, but also at the national level and the subnational level within these case studies? Now, we produced a lot of things in the CrossGov project. Very shortly, we have 9 case studies that have run for the last 3 years. And these case studies have been within different sea basins across Europe, so in the North Sea and the Baltic Sea and the Mediterranean. We have over 30 deliverables, which are consisting of reports, outputs, tools, policy briefs and different things. We have more than 10 scientific publications, so some are already produced and published, others are still in the pipeline and ongoing. We have produced 7 policy briefs, which are open accessible, and they are like summarizing all the recommendations that we have produced. We have CrossGov webinars in which we present all of the findings and the results which we got to specific coherence challenges and identification of gaps and problems and recommendations. And then for learning, we have produced a massive open and online course, which is specifically meant for students, for young researchers, and for everyone that actually wants to learn more about policy coherence and how to assess it, and in which kind of context you can really provide recommendations. A summer school also for the younger researchers and the students. We have produced 3 roadmaps with recommendations for specific sectoral areas, which I come back to quite soon. We have produced a blueprint on blue SPS interfaces. And then we have produced a policy coherence handbook. Now a little bit more about these roadmaps. In CrossGov, we have tailored the recommendations and the research to 3 main sectoral areas. So one of the sectors was offshore wind and biodiversity, the other was fisheries and biodiversity, and then the third one was the marine environment and agricultural pollution. So for these 3 areas, we have produced roadmaps that start from the EU level, the European Green Deal, recommendations and ambitions, and then we explore the EU policy landscape, the gaps and the challenges there, and go down all the way to the case study areas to integrate kind of the challenges that people face on the ground when they need to implement and need to comply with these policies. So the roadmaps are quite comprehensive and they go from the EU to the local level. Then the SPS blueprint, which is also a methodological approach to understand and to assess science policy society interfaces, which is quite a big element of our project. And we study also in particular to what extent SPS interfaces can actually enhance policy coherence. So here there is a blueprint, there is an infographic which can guide you step by step through the assessment of SPS interfaces. And then the Policy Coherence Handbook is also one of the more comprehensive outcomes of the project. We produced a website, actually, in which this policy coherence framework is explained. You can click through all the different components. And you can also see a lot of examples that we have collected there from the CrossGov research. So examples from the EU policies, examples also from implementation, and also other types of things and recommendations and tips and best practices that you can find back in the handbook. You can also download it into a PDF, like the full version of the handbook, but also a quick guide if you want to quickly assess the main guiding questions that we have developed for you. So if you're interested in learning, we have developed this MOOC, which is a massive online and open course. Quite a lot of modules there and different steps and different sub-modules which you can explore. You can enroll yourself in the MOOC and take all the courses. You can also pick your own courses in which you are mainly interested. And it's a very nice way to learn actually everything that we have learned during the project. So it's openly accessible. It's quite easy to access as well. And if you enroll, you get also like the certificate by the end of the course that proves that you have taken the course. So by the end of the project, we would like to express a major thanks to our advisory board for all the recommendations and the input and the feedback and the advice that they have given to us. Professor Ronan Long from the World Maritime University, Professor Anne-Stina Heiskan from the Finnish Environment Institute, Professor Mons Nielsen from the Stockholm Environment Institute, Judith van Leeuwen, Wageningen University, and Zelika Skaracic from Paprak, Mediterranean. And then, of course, to all the partners in which we had a great collaboration. So NIVA has coordinated the project. And then the partners with CNR, Utrecht, University of Eastern Finland, ESPRO, and Action. We had a great collaboration, and we really hope that we can continue the research on policy coherence in the coming years. So for now, goodbye, and we hope we can stay in touch and see you again soon.